Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Crack It the Cryptic on another beautiful day here in the UK. At last the weather has turned, and we're going to be having a go at another puzzle by the great Scojo today. I'm assured that this one is less brain-bending than that one I had to do a couple of weeks ago. What was it called? Chocolate banana sandwich or something. That was jolly difficult. This is called Kingsroad. And it's got an intriguing, very interesting rule set, and this only has 2 stars out of 5 for difficulty on Logic Masters Germany. We had a boatload of recommendations to try it, so I think it should be more approachable, and I'm looking forward to having a go at it, and we'll do that in a moment or two's time. Few things to mention first. Tomorrow is the closing date for our monthly competition over on Patreon. Of course, Glum Hippo's Snake Egg Sudoku Hunt. Oh, my mouse or my window is in a different place today. If you haven't started it yet, you better get cracking. It's still possible to do it, definitely by tomorrow, but you probably would need to devote some time. And the feedback we've been getting on that hunt has been absolutely terrific, so do give yourself a chance. And if you're stuck on the last couple of puzzles, over on Patreon, there is the Patreon only over on Discord, there's the Patreon only chat channel where there is help to be found. So check that out. Anything else to mention over on Patreon? I don't think so. I'm rather frivolously going to share something with you now that I don't know if any of you are on Facebook or anything like that, but you get these things that pop up from time to time. I tend to glance at them. Most of the time they're completely terrible. But this popped up. A letter to Marilyn Monroe. A letter to Marilyn Monroe. How is that, Alexa? What has that got to do? It's absolutely bonkers. I'm sorry, Alexa, interrupting the flow there. From none other than John Steinbeck, who I'm sure many of you will be familiar with. The Grapes of Wrath and all that, or Wrath, depending on how you like to pronounce your Wraths and Wraths. And I thought this letter was absolutely terrific, so I'm going to read it to you. Dear Marilyn, in my whole experience, I have never known anyone to ask for an autograph for himself. It is always for a child or an ancient aunt, which gets very tiresome, as you know better than I. It is therefore with a certain nausea that I tell you that I have a nephew-in-law who lives in Austin, Texas, whose name is John Atkinson. He has his foot in the door of puberty, but that is only one of his problems. You are the other. I know that you are not made of celestial ether, but he doesn't. A suggestion that you have normal functions would shock him deeply, and I'm not going to be the one to tell him. On a recent trip to Texas, my wife made the fatal error of telling John that I had met you. He doesn't really believe it, but his respect for me has gone up even for lying about it. Now I get asked for all kinds of silly favours, so I have no hesitation in asking one of you. Would you send him, in my care, a picture of yourself, perhaps in pensive, girlish mood, inscribed to him by name and indicating that you are aware of his existence? He is already your slave. This would make him mine. If you will do this, I will send you a guest key to the ladies' entrance of Fort Knox, and furthermore, I will like you very much. Yours sincerely, John Steinbeck. I think that is so beautifully written and humorous that I can't believe it isn't genuine. I followed it up on the internet to see whether it is indeed genuine. There seems to be a small scintilla of doubt in that it was probably typed by his personal assistant at the time and signed by her on his behalf. But I think he wrote it. There, I've said it. And I thought I would share it with you. Forgive me if that has bored you and I've taken too much of your time. Now, what else? I've got one birthday to do today. Let me say a very happy 18th birthday to Sydney. And this is from your BFFFFFF. There were lots of Fs. Your BFFFFFFM. So M wrote to us and said, Sydney, you would appreciate a shout out. Many happy returns. And I hope, Sydney, it is a day replete with enormous amounts of chocolate cake. And now, let us turn our attention to Kingsroad by Scojo, and I will read you the rules. Oh, here we go. We've got normal Sudoku rule supply, so we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, in every column, and in every 3 by 3 box. Anti-king. Okay, so we've got anti-king today. Cells touching diagonally cannot contain the same digit. So sometimes this is expressed as in a sort of king's move in chess type thing, which would be to say, okay, if this was a chess king, any cell that this chess king could move to could not contain this digit. And you can see most of the digits that chess king could move to are already ruled out from containing a 5 because of normal Sudoku rules. None of those could obviously be a 5. But these two digits could normally be a 5 in Sudoku, but in this puzzle they cannot be, because these would be a chess king's single move apart. So that is how anti-king rules work. Lines in the grid act as both region sum lines and parity lines. As region sum lines, so it then explains what that means. It says region borders divide a line into segments with equal totals. Different lines may have different totals. So what that means, let's look at this great big king-shaped line. So you can see that the line occupies those squares in box 4. Then it occupies those squares in box 1, then those squares in box 2, then these squares in box 5. And the sum of the green digits must be the same as the sum of the some of the blue digits must be the same as the sum of the yellow digits must be the same as the sum of the purple digits. That is how region sum lines work. But they also function as parity lines, and digits along a line must alternate between even and odd. So if that's even, that will be even, that will be even, that will be even, etc. And the gaps will be odds. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual, but now I get to play. Let's get cracking. And I suspect we're going to have to do a lot of shading in this puzzle, but whenever I do region sum lines puzzles, the first thing I look for, as Maverick is going to buzz by the window, is are there line segments of very differing lengths along the same line. And I can see here I've got a 3-cell segment here that has to add up to a single line segment there. So we can immediately say that this digit has got to be at least equal to 6, because even if I minimize those squares as 1, 2 and 3, that would be 6, wouldn't it? 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. So I haven't thought about the parity thing yet. Let me just mull that for a moment. Right. We can do something with parity as well on top of that, because let me just highlight those squares. They are all the same parity along this line, and this is so this cell here has the same parity as this one, and yet these two digits add up to this digit. So what must the parity of this cell be? And I'm going to claim it must be even, because if this was odd, the sum of those two digits will have different parity to purple. So that is an even digit. Now, can we go further than that? So even, if this was even. Oh, no, of course. I'm so stupid. I'm so sorry. Okay, then it's sort of having deduced, and this was correct logic, that this is even, then we can backtrack that, can't we? We can backfill it, because now, knowing this is even, those squares must be even. So those have got to be odd. And now that square has got to be a 7 or a 9. That's really cool. That's really cool. If it's 7, this would have to be, this would be a 2-4 pair, and this would be a 1. Oh, I really like that. Right, so yeah, so I can do this on this line as well, can't I? Because what we're being told is that those two digits, and I don't know what they are yet, but they have the same parity because of the parity rule, and so that must be even. because if it was odd, it would change the parity of this sum of those digits relative to this digit. So that's even, and then immediately those two become odd again. So we're sort of managing to build up the parity picture. That's really odd. Okay, I mean, or really even, depending on how you want to think about it. So okay. Yes. Right, so actually it's perhaps parity that's much more important than the region sum line thing. Right, so let's have a look at this line now. Because it's not, well, again, I don't know how this breaks down, so let's start to build it up. But, well, there is one thing I've seen, which is what I'm going to tell you about in a moment. Right, so all those of that parity, and all these are of purple parity. Now, let's have a think about this, because the thing I'm seeing here is that if we look in box 1, we have equal numbers of parities along the line. Now, therefore, the sum of those digits is even, isn't it? That must be true, because whether green is odd or purple is odd, we're going to be adding two odds together, and that will give us an even number, and we're going to be adding two even numbers together, and they will give us an even number. Sorry, there's a great deal of noise that sounds like a steamroller. So now, if I know that the sum of those cells together is even, the sum of these cells together is even, and there are 3 greens. So if green was odd, given that then there would be well, obviously this segment would add up to an odd number overall, and it doesn't. It adds up to an even number overall. So that tells us that green on this line is even, which we normally use blue for, because orange begins with O, and so does odd. And also in our palette that we use on the channel, blue and orange are apparently the best colorblind friendly colors. Now look at column 4. I've got 4 evens in this column. There are only 4 Sudoku digits that are even, 2, 4, 6 and 8, so the other digits have to be odd. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing this. I think this is going to keep working. Let's just keep doing this. Those squares have the same parity, and those squares have the same parity. There are an equal number of odds and evens on the top of the line. And this top segment, those must add up to an even number. So these must add up to an even. So how, therefore, could purple be odd? If purple is odd, that 3-cell segment would add up to an odd number. So purple is even. So green is odd. So this is odd now by dint of there needing to be 5 odds in any one box. This is odd. I've not even thought about the king's move yet. I'm going to do this line in a moment. Let me just keep counting. I'm trying to find rows and columns that have 4 of especially 4 blue ones. Oh, actually, hang on. Look at this one. No, this is less good. This line has equal parity there because there's 4 digits and equal parity there. So we're not going to immediately be able to tell. Well, we know each segment adds up to an even number, but we're not going to be able to determine the gap or the differential between green and purple along this line, I'm afraid. We might be able to. Oh no, I was wondering whether we could do it some other way, but there's actually, there's 2 purples and 2 greens in this column, and 1 of each down here, so it's not, and there's an even number here, or an equal number of each here, so maybe. No, okay, so now it might be getting more tricky. Oh no, it's not. Row 6 is where we need to look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So green is therefore even, and that's beautiful. So all of a sudden we've got virtually the whole, well, an awful lot of the puzzle coloured in. And all we've got to do, that's definitely even by dint of row 6, which is, did I say row 5 before? I meant to say row 6, if that's what I said. I've got 4 in column 7, so those have got to be odd. Now, it's I am aware. Don't get me wrong. I am aware that I almost certainly have four blues in a row or column I'm not noticing. I'm trying to notice it. Or have I got 5 oranges in a row or column and I'm not noticing that? I don't know actually. I can't see it if I have. So maybe I am meant to. Maybe I am meant to think about this other rule now, the king's move rule, because yeah, okay. There are some points I can see are immediately interesting. Look at this square. Let's label that with a letter for a moment. Where does that digit go in box 5? And because of the king's move restriction, those 2 digits can't be that digit, and neither can that one by Sudoku. So that's the A digit. So A is in one of those 2. A is in one of these 2. Again, it can't be on a diagonal from itself. So A is in one of those 3. That can't be A, because that would rule A out of both of those squares, but that still leaves an awful lot of possibilities for where A can live in box 9. Okay, no, sorry, maybe that's not what we're meant to do then. Let's try... triangular numbers. Triangular number for 7 is 28 actually, so that, okay, these digits have to be quite big. Yeah, there's something going on here. This is clever, right. Okay, let's have a look. Let's go back to this box. So I said the triangular number for 7 is 28. That's true. So what I'm trying to establish there is what is the minimum value of these 7 cells? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 is 28. And that means the minimum value of these 4 cells is 28. Now 4 cells that sum to 28 in Sudoku have to involve 9 and 8. Let's try and not involve 8. Well, then we'd have 9, 7, 6, which is already 22. Plus 5 is 27. So it's not enough. You must have 9 and 8. Now that's interesting, because we actually know something about the parities here. We know the 9 can't go in a blue cell, and we know the 8 can't go in an orange square. But, I haven't quite figured this out yet, but the right-hand side of the top of this king shape here, that also adds to 28. So that also has 9 and 8 in it. And here, it's the other way round, isn't it? These 2 squares have to involve the 9. Oh no, I've got it. Right. I was thinking the 9s were doing something. It's not. It's the 8s. It's this 8. That's beautiful. Look. So how could this be an 8? If that's an 8, you can't put an 8 in either of those squares because of the king's move condition and Sudoku. So that can't be 8. So this is 8, and that's a digit. Perhaps not a massive digit, but at least a digit. So this square is 4 or 6 now, because we know that this is adding up to at least 28, so we can't possibly put 2 in. But now, right. This actually, Scojo is such a good setter. That's just this is a beautiful point, right? So the whole key to this puzzle, well, at least at this point, is this cell. Because what I should have noticed is that this cell cannot go in this sum at all. And that's so powerful, because now I know what the sum of this, the sum of those 7 cells is. If you can't see why, do pause the video and give yourself a moment, because it's really beautiful when you see it. For those of you who managed to do it, congratulations. The reason is that this, what we've now deduced in effect, is that this total, whatever it is, there must be 2 ways to make it up in 4 Sudoku digits. And let's think about why that is, because let's imagine that this added up to 30, say. It can't add up to more than 30, because we can't make 4 different digits add up to more than 30. But it could add up to 30. If it did, this collection of digits here would definitely be 6, 7, 8, 9, and this would definitely be a 6. But this would have to add up to 30. There's only one way to make the total, and you couldn't put 6 in the total because of the King's move constraint. So that cannot be right. And that means that 29 is also impossible. There's only one way to make 29, and that is 5, 7, 8, 9. In fact, 5, that also fails because it's got the wrong number of odd and even digits. So given the minimum value of these squares is 28, and then it must be 2 ways to make the total of whatever this is, it does add up to 28. And now, well, now one of these totals, well, one of the constituent parts of one of these is 4, 7, 8, 9, and the constituent part of the other one is 5, 6, 8, 9. Which is probably important. Okay, A is this digit. Oh, no, I'm wrong. What I was about to say is absolute nonsense. I'm not going to say it now. So that digit is in one of those 2 positions. Oh, I can do the 9s. I can do the 9s the other way round. If that's the 9, it's knocking out both of those. So that's weird that I could see it for 8s but not for 9s. So that's the 9 in box thingy. Technical term for box 2. Oh, here, okay. If this adds up to 28, and it does, what are these 2 digits? They've got to be an 8-9 pair. We don't really need the secret for that. We could have used the secret, but we don't need it, because what we'd worked out is that the triangular number for 7 must be the total for those squares. In other words, they didn't include an 8 or a 9. And now that's an 8 and that's a 9, which means that's a 9. So 8 and 9 live at the bottom of column 1 somewhere down there. This square is 5 or 7. And this square is 5 or 7. And these are obviously different. Now, what does that mean? Something, probably. These squares are 4, 6, and 8. Just, I don't know. Oh, let's check whether or not we've improved our knowledge. Yeah, look. Now I've got 5 odds in this row, so that's even and that's odd to complete that panoply of digits. Right. And that means, well, what does that mean? Do we know? Nine is in one of 3 positions, I think, in box number 5. Oh, 9 is in one of 3 positions in box number 3. Okay. That's good, but it's not nearly enough, is it? Oh, so we know these squares add up to 28. So these squares add up to 17 using a secret. So the secret is, and it's something I tell only my very favourite people, the secret is that the complete box of a Sudoku contains the digits 1 to 9 once each, and therefore those digits sum to 45. So if I know that they add up to 28, I know these add up to 17. I can't see how to use that. I mean, if there's a... okay. No, maybe I can a bit. There is a 9 in this group of digits. Oh no, hang on, I've got the wrong... No, I've got the wrong thing. There's a crook there, isn't there? There's a sort of... I don't know how to describe that. A pipe. There's a pipe there, but it's those digits that add up to 17. I was about to say there's a 9 in the group that have to add up to 17, but if the 9 is there, that is not true. Okay, so goodness only knows where I'm meant to look now. What could it be? I don't know. I don't know where to look, actually. Oh, hang on. That's a 7 by Sudoku, so it's coming right back to the bottom of the grid. So this is 1, 2, 4, and the odd digit in that is 1. So these are a 2, 4 pair. This is an odd digit that isn't a 1, so that must be a 3 or a 5. And that digit is now a 4 or a 2. And those digits are the same, aren't they? Because these can't be the same because of the king's move. So we might as well give those a little tag to reinforce that in our brains. Okay, oh right, I see. So now I can ask where 1 goes in box 2. And it can only go, it's got to be in an odd cell, hasn't it? So it's got to go there, which means this is a 1. Right, and that's going to do a lot of things. Because now... Hang on, there might be more we can do. Hang on, let me just see. Now, these digits have to add up to 27. And there are 4 of them. So they do that. We definitely need a 9 in that congregation. So we can place that 9 now. That places 9 using the king's move to rule it out of this square in box number 8. This square becomes even by dint of the parity of this column. Okay, and now we can do maths, because what we've got on this line is 3 cells that have to add up to 18. Now all the even digits, 2, 4, 6 and 8, sum to 20, so there is no 2 on this line. That is 2, and that is the A digit, so that's 2, that's 2, that's 2, because that can't be 2. So that never had the opportunity to be A in the end of the day. And one of these 2 digits is a 2, but we don't know which one. These squares are 4, 6 and 8. So in this column there's a 4, 6, 8 triple, and we can place the 2 at the bottom. We know that's the same as that digit, so that's now a 5 by maths. That's a 2. 2 is in one of these 2 cells. Oh, I like this very much. This is really, really, it's just lovely, isn't it? It's just lovely. Now those digits are now a 3, 5, 7 triple. So I've not put 6 and 8. And 8 is looking at that one. So that's 6, that's 8. These have now involved 4, so they must involve 7. This is 5, this must be 6 by mathematics. Okay, can we do something? Oh, this 8 pokes in there by king's move. Might as well take advantage of that. That 8 looks in there by king's... But no, I can't claim that's king's move. That's just Sudoku and me not doing it. So that's 8, that's 4, that's 4, that's 6. Sometimes these puzzles, sort of odd-even parity puzzles, if you get a bit of a start on them, you can go really fast, because effectively you're almost doing 2 different puzzles, because you can treat the even digits as a sort of separate puzzle to the odd digits. It doesn't always work that way, but it can do. That digit's a 2 or a 4 by Sudoku, and that digit's a 6 or an 8 by Sudoku. 8 must be in one of two places in box 3. Oh, as must 6. So there is a 6-8 pair, which forces the parity of this square. So these now have to both be odd. Oh, I've got 2 2s in this box. That's worrying. Is that a slip of the mouse, or is that just absolute ineptitude? What did I do? So I went there, I put 4 there, 6 there, 4 there. I agree with that 4, and then I put 2 there. That's very strange. Okay, let's just keep an eye on whether we use that 4 or not. Oh, this digit here, the 2, that's obviously erroneous. I don't think I used it. I think it's just I think I just misclicked. That's just a 6, isn't it? It's not going to do very much for us, unfortunately. 4 is in one of these squares now. I think I've got to get rid of. I'm going to get rid of A, because that's going to confuse me. What, A was the 2 digit, wasn't it? 4 is here. So 4. Oh, so there's a 1-4 pair in column 3. And there's a 4 here looking into the box, so we can do it. So now we know that's odd. We know this is even. We know 4 is in one of those 2 cells now. That's interesting, because now we can ask... Oh, we could have asked this before. Where does 4 go in column 7? It's only got one position, actually. So that's 4. So that must be 2, and that's therefore even. And now all of these turn odd. And have we got... Oh, we've got too many odds in the world. That's very frustrating. How weird. So what I'm seeing is I've got 6 odds in this row, which can't possibly be true. But I don't know where I went wrong there. So I said that there had to be a 4 there. That feels correct. Golly, I mean, 4 would go there. So I want to put the 2 here. Then the world would work. So why do I have... Ah, okay. So maybe... Oh, have I just misused my... I've used... Oh, right, I see what I did. That's fine. That's fine. It's me being absolutely inept again. I think when I put this... Yeah, when I put this in and saw it had to be the 4, I saw this and therefore assumed that had to be the 2 without seeing there was a 2 in this square as well. And there is. So that still has the opportunity to be a 2. So what instead I should have done, and apologies for being inept, in fact that is a 2 now because I know there's a 2 in box 1 in one of these squares. So that finishes that row's parity. It finishes this box's parity, finishes column 8's parity. So this square at the bottom is 6 or 8. This 6 is doing some work. We can't put 6 here because it would be a king's move away from itself. So this square is 4 or 8 and it's not 8. So it's all resolving itself. There's an 8 in one of those 2 squares. So that square's got to be odd. Because we've obviously got the other 3 even numbers. These 2 squares are a 3-5 pair. Which means these squares down here, well, these are a 6-7 pair, aren't they? Which means one of each parity. Okay, what about this then? 3-5. Oh, can we do maths? We know that's a 4. So this is an odd number that's bigger than 4. Oh, but this could be a 1, look. It probably is a 1. So that square is 5, 7 or 9, depending on what this is, which is 1, 3 or 5. It's not 5, okay, so that's not 9. Can that be 3? Or is that restricted? Possibly not. Okay, so we're probably going to have to keep thinking. What about where should we look now? We could look, I mean, there are other lines here that I haven't looked at all. Yeah, what about this line? That's at the moment adding up to 9, so it either adds up to 12 or 14. And we've got 2 here, so these can add up to 10 and they can add up to 12. Bother. But they always use 7. We're either using 7-3 or 7-5 in that collection. So this comes down very slightly. I don't know. Okay, those squares are 3 and 5. There's a 3-5 pair in row 6. We'll take that. So that's a 7. So that's a 3. That's a 3. That's a 5. That 3 pokes out and hits that one. So that's 5. That's 3. This is now a 5-7 pair adding up to 12, 14 if we include the 2. So that has to be a 5 now by maths. 5 and 3 go into the grid. Ooh, there is a chance of a 3 in the corner up there. This is a 3. So these squares are 1 and 7. We can do that. That's 7 and 5 gets resolved by this. This is a 1 by Sudoku. And these are 3, 5, 9. So we're probably going to think about this digit soon as well, because this other line we've not really, or I've not really considered it very much. That's not 2. Right, let's have a look. Okay, 3 and 5 both point at that digit, so it's got to be a 9. There's a 3 at the bottom of the grid, so that gets resolved. Now we can just add this up. And we've got 16. And and at the moment we've got 12 on the top line, so these must be, they're both odd, they must be a 1-3 pair, and that gives us the 9, which gives us the 7, which gives us the 5, which gives us a 7, 7, 6. We now know the parity of all these things. And this digit is a 1. Oh, it's a 9. It can't be 1. So we've got a 1-8 pair in the corner. Oh, so that wasn't a 1 at the end of the day. Okay, but still, now we've got all the even digits in the bottom row. So the rest of it has to be odd, obviously. 9 we can place by Sudoku, so this digit should be a 3. Aha! And that's 3 in the corner, that's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. That's very useful. I have a feeling this is, I shouldn't say it, but it does feel like it might be finishing for us now, doesn't it? This is a 1-2 pair, we can do that. Let's make sure we do the parities. We haven't put 8 into this column, we can do that. That's got to be a 5, which is most certainly odd. And we've not put in 2 and 6, so 6 here, 2 here, both of which are blue. And that might be the solution to the puzzle. That is brilliant. What an absolutely brilliant puzzle. There is so much to admire about this. It's got a little bit of maths, but not much. It's got a little bit of geometry, but the way those two things are sort of connected together is gorgeous. And it's really, I mean, I was genuinely surprised. I mean, I sort of exclaimed at my stupidity. I could see that this was even, and then I didn't immediately see, okay, well now once I know that's even, I know exactly how this looks. And then you suddenly realize, okay, well I can keep thinking about sort of parity along all of these bigger shapes. And this is a lovely find from a constructor, that segment has to have a different composition to this segment is gorgeous. It's a gorgeous thing. World-class puzzle, Scojo. World-class. Let me know in the comments how you got on. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.